to our virtual yoga class. Thanks for opening up this video. I'm here to support you for the rest of the class. So we'll begin by shifting to lay on our backs on the mat. So take a few moments there to lengthen your legs, release your back on the floor, head as well. And notice that as we begin class, this is intentional to ground, to start shifting our attention to our bodies, to start releasing our to-do lists. You're scanning from the top of the head down to your toes, seeing where can you soften a little bit more. You're making those adjustments that make you more comfortable in this pose. I personally recommend taking your hands to your belly and chest, resting them there. That way you can regulate the breath a little bit more. But you can also drop your hands to frame your hips, palms up towards the ceiling. Belly expands and a rib cage expands on that inhale. You might want to notice a few natural breaths that you don't really control, your natural breath. Observe the quality of that breath. That breath could be short, it could be long. And inviting an intentional yoga practice, start to lengthen that length of the inhale and exhale. Noticing that it's these full breaths that is going to support you in your strength, flexibility, and balance as you're exploring your boundary, extending your endurance. Inhale and exhale. It's this breath that we go back to throughout the class. The continuous practice, you're arriving to this present moment. I recommend inhaling, exhaling, sighing out. Releasing any physical tension from this morning or yesterday. Inhale, exhale, release. Starting to see that relationship with the physical, mental, emotional bodies informing each other. Still be mindful from the top of the head to your toes. Cultivating this sense of stillness and spaciousness throughout the class. Sometimes it's accessible, sometimes it's more challenging. Notice that spaciousness, that stillness is always available. It's just a matter of placing our attention there. Two or three more intentional breaths here. Noticing your relationship with this stillness, this spaciousness. Again, what parts and aspects of this is accessible, what parts are more challenging. Giving yourself permission to experience a spectrum of feelings and thoughts. Do cultivate that ability to notice, to observe, and then release and let go. We'll start to wake up our bodies by inviting a full body stretch. So you can lift your arms up overhead, point your toes, lengthen your elbows, lift your abdomen up towards the ceiling. It's a subtle and gentle way to start waking up the body, perhaps noticing any parts that feel a little sore, or starting to notice parts of your body that you would like to emphasize throughout the class. So even though I'm guiding certain poses and mentioning certain body parts, if you in your personal practice start to isolate awareness over a certain area, it could be your core, it could be your neck, it could be your hips or hamstrings, you can bring your attention there continuously throughout all the poses. So see where it is that you'd like to place attention to. This is part of your physical, mental, emotional well-being, noticing what to work on. And then inhale here, exhale, side out. We'll start to bend our right knee. So you're dropping your hands. Bend your right knee, now lengthen your leg up towards the ceiling. Interlace your fingers right behind that right thigh and hold here. You can flex that left foot towards the front. You're gonna rotate your ankle here. We tend to not place enough attention to our heels and toes, balls of our feet. So take a few moments here, rotating the ankle, noticing how your feet support you throughout the day, carrying you from one place to the next. You can focus more throughout the calves, down to the hamstrings, hips, and glutes. You can bring your thigh closer towards your belly, chest, remaining here, or you can open up and drop your leg towards the right, holding here, or swaying towards the left, holding here as well. You're going to notice the stretch shifts depending on where you are in that sway. So you can continue moving back and forth, or just hold one position if that's where most of your attention is. You can keep that left foot flexed towards the front. Neck and shoulders are soft. Breathe deeply into the area you're deepening in. Flexibility is about noticing a long stretch of time, being with that stretch, allowing yourself to fold a little bit more. You always want to push yourself, but never to a point where it's painful. Inhale. And then exhale, release, bend that right knee. Grab your knee with your hands, round your spine, forehead towards your knee, hold. Chin moves towards the chest. You're opening up throughout the spine and neck, activating that core strength. Also glute and quad strength by holding up here. Keep your elbows close to your torso and then release. Opposite side, bend your left knee, lengthen your leg up towards the ceiling, interlace your fingers right behind that thigh. Inhale, belly expands. You can rotate that ankle clockwise, counterclockwise. Flex that right foot towards the front. And after you've taken a few rotations on that left side, you can start to lengthen your leg a little bit more. Bring your thigh closer towards your belly, your chest. Focus here, hamstrings, hips, and glutes. You hold here, drop your leg towards the left, holding here. And then dropping your leg towards the right, keeping a sway or holding a position. Keep that right foot flexed towards the front. Gather some generous breaths here. Inhale. Exhale. Start to release, bending your left knee. Grab your left knee with your hands. We're going to remain here as we lift. Hold, chin towards chest, core strength. Flex that right foot towards the front. Activate that right glute, right quad. Hold. And then drop your leg back, bend both knees. Now both feet float off the floor. And then rock to the left, to the right. And release. Plant both feet on the mat. Ground both palms onto the mat. Lengthen your legs. And allow a little bend to your knees. Let's take a moment here just to lengthen our spine, open our chest. And then drop your belly towards your thighs, hands to shins or toes. You can also rest on your thighs and hold. Inhale. Exhale. Deep belly breath. Inhale. Exhale. Release. Bring both soles of the feet together. Lengthen your spine. Lead your chest down towards the floor. Inhale. Exhale. Bring some awareness to that deep belly breath. That means your belly expands. Inhale. Exhale. Hinging from the hips. And then release. Now shift into your tabletop position. You're going to bring both hands directly beneath your shoulders. Knees about hips width distance apart. Inhale up, cow pose, lifting your tailbone. Exhale around your spine, cat pose. Chin moves towards your chest. A couple of times here, inhaling up. Now you're pressing through your palms, fingertips are spread wide. In your cat pose, you're tucking your tailbone in, making sure your chin tucks towards your chest. Right, purposely lifting that tailbone, opening the chest, pressing through your palms in that cow pose. So these are very simple poses, but you can still bring a lot to this pose. Notice the tops of the feet on your floor, notice your fingertips, notice a full extension and rounding of the spine. Release any compression around the lower back. The lower back might be a little sore, it tends to be sore. And then after a few rounds here, start to lift your left leg, bend your left knee, stack your hips, and hold. Release your knee now towards your chest, chin moves towards your chest, press through your palms, and then release. Lift your right leg, bend your knees, stack your hips. Press through your palms, chin towards chest, knee towards chest. Drop that right knee onto the floor. Inhale up, cow pose. Exhale, round your spine, cat pose. Come back to neutral, press your left palm onto the floor. Lift your right arm up towards the ceiling, hold. And then release. Lift your left hand, left arm up towards the ceiling. Exhale, release. We'll come up to our downward facing dog. Hold your down dog. Breathing into the backs of your legs, pressing through your palms. Hips are lifted. Inhale. Exhale, take your gaze right between your hands. Walk or jump up to that forward fold. We're going to inhale halfway up. Exhale, release. Sweep our arms up overhead. Extending through the spine, palms meeting right in front of our heart center. Take a moment to welcome a few breath cycles here. Notice that inner silence is cultivated purposefully, intentionally. Eyes opened or closed. Inhale here, exhale. Side out. Inhale. Let's lift our heels up, lift our arms up overhead, palms up towards the ceiling. Hold here, gaze is steady. Inhale here. Exhale, release your hands, release your feet, pedal your feet back and forth. Interlace your fingers behind you, draw your shoulder blades purposely closer together. Bend your knees, pull down, forward fold. Soften neck and head. I'm purposely bringing my shoulder blades closer together here. And then release your hands to your shins. Inhale halfway up. Exhale, release. Second round, inhale halfway up. Exhale, release. Third round, inhale halfway up. Exhale, release. Sweep your arms up overhead, moving so intentionally. Noticing both palms touch. Left palm press against right palm press against left palm. That's how we practice arriving to this present moment. We'll start to move into 3 sun salutations. Feel free to create your own personal rhythm. I'll go ahead and cue though. Inhale, extend the spine, lift the arms. Exhale, fold down. Forward fold. Bend your knees, soften neck and head. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, release, step back, plank pose. Release down towards the floor. Tops of the feet on the mat, engage glutes. And here, lift up, upward facing dog. There's an extension in the spine. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale here. Exhale. Take your gaze right between your hands. Walk your heels up to that forward fold. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale. Release, sweep your arms up overhead. Extending through the spine. Taking a moment here to center with your breath. Inhaling, exhaling. Release your hands, arms lift. Exhale, fold down, bend your knees. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, release, step back, plank pose, core is activated here. Heels press towards the back. Release down towards the floor. Exhale, downward facing dog. Generous breath here. Inhale. Exhale, take your gaze right between your hands, walk or jump up. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, release. Let's sweep our arms up overhead. Hands in front of your heart center. Inhale. Exhale. Release your hands. Inhale, arms lift. Exhale, bend your knees, fold down, forward fold. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, release, step back, plank pose. Release down towards the floor. Find that extension throughout the spine in your upward facing dog. Exhale, down dog. Once in your downward facing dog, lift your left leg, bend your left knee, stack your hips to the left. And now take that left knee towards that left elbow, hover. Lift your leg, bend your knee, stack your hips. Release your foot back down towards the floor. And on opposite side, lift your right leg. Bend your knee, stack your hips. Right knee towards that right elbow, hover. Press through your palms. Activate that upper core strength as you lift your leg back again. Bend your knee, stack your hips. Release your foot back down towards the floor, then drop both knees onto the mat, and then step back into a child's pose. Knees close together towards the edges of your mat. Drop your chest towards the mat. Inhaling, receiving anything that supports you. Exhaling, releasing anything that does not support you. A few more breaths here in this child pose. Reconnecting with that stillness and spaciousness you've been cultivating throughout the class. Noticing how essential it is for that physical, mental, emotional body. Inhale. Exhale. Another breath here, or two. And start to ground both palms onto the mat. Lift up, downward facing dog. Inhale here. Exhale. Take your gaze right between your hands. Walk or jump up to that forward fold. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, release it. Sweep your arms up overhead. Hands meet in front of our heart center. Let's inhale here. Exhale. We're going to shift into a warrior one. From warrior one, we are going to shift into a warrior three. Well, actually, let's go ahead and do a two-legged balance just to prepare for that balance pose that we're going to come into in a little bit, our warrior three. So palms up towards the ceiling. Keep your gaze steady. So your gaze is steady and your breath is also steady. So try to reach for both. And now start to drop your hands, drop your heels. All right, warrior one. We take our right foot forward, left leg steps back, left foot is in a diagonal. 90-degree bend to that right knee. Hands in front of your heart center. Gaze straight ahead. Take Your breath here, you're starting to engage your glutes, you're grounding through your feet. Now, once your gaze is steady, breath is steady, start to lift your arms up. Palms can face towards each other. Your legs are these scissors attempting to close, but they can't. And now start to take your hands right in front of your heart center. Lift your left leg as high as you can. Start to drop your chest towards the floor. Ground through that right foot. Hips have to be open here. Lots of strength here in glutes and quads and core. Always feel free to step in or out of the pose. And then now start to drop both hands onto the mat. Lift your left leg as high as you can. Drop your belly towards your thigh. Left foot meets that right foot. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, release and sweep our arms up overhead. Inhaling and exhaling for the day you've had so far. Inhaling and exhaling for this moment. Inhaling and exhaling for the rest of your day. Start to release your hands. Inhale, arms lift. Palms up towards the ceiling. Lift your heels halfway or all the way up. Hold. Inhale. Exhale. Release your hands. Release your heels. Pedal your feet back and forth here. Opposite side. Now we're going to focus on taking our left foot forward. Right leg steps back. Right foot is in a diagonal. 90-degree bend to that knee. Let's take a moment here first with our hands in front of our heart center. Gaze straight ahead. Even breath. Even gaze. Lift your arms up and hold. Breathe from your heels to your fingertips. Your hands in front of your heart center. We'll start to shift into our warrior three. Plant that left foot firmly onto the mat. Lift your right leg simultaneously. Drop your chest so it's parallel to the floor. Keep your gaze steady, even breath. And now drop both hands onto the mat. Lift that right leg as high as you can. Soften your neck, your head. Right foot meets that left foot. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, release, softening your neck, your head. Plant your hands onto the mat. Actually, let's come into our standing splits. So we're going to inch our hands forward, lift our right leg as high as we can, drop our belly towards our thighs. Inhale. Exhale. Right foot meets that left foot. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, release, step back, plank pose. Legs are long. Keep your elbows close to your torso. Release down towards the floor. Inhale, up. Upward facing dog. We lift up into our downward facing dog. Lift your left leg, bend your knees, stack your hips. Hold. Left knee towards that right elbow, hover. And then lift your leg, Bend your knees, stack your hips. Release your foot back down towards the floor. Invite a generous breath. And then opposite side, lift your right leg. Bend your knees, stack your hips. Right knee towards that left elbow, hover. And then lift your leg, bend your knees, stack your hips. Release your foot back down towards the floor, knees on the mat, shift back, child's pose. Inhaling, receiving anything that supports you. Exhaling, releasing anything that does not support you. Start to inch that right hand towards the left corner of the mat. Hold. And then release. And the opposite side, inch your left hand towards the right corner of the mat. And release that hand. Shift up into your tabletop. Palms right beneath your shoulders. Inhale up, cow pose. Exhale, round your spine, cat pose. Take a couple of rounds here, inhaling and exhaling, rounding your spine. Perhaps noticing any differences from the beginning of class now that you've opened up and throughout the spine. Always take an opportunity to deepen into these cat and cow poses, as simple poses to protect our upper back, mid back, lower back. And then after another round or two, you can start to shift into a seated position, cross-legged position. Ground your sit bones onto the mat. Those are the bones near your glutes. Lengthen your spine, draw your shoulders down. Notice an active core keeps your spine lifted, open, chest open. Find one point across the floor or room. Keep your gaze open and steady. 3 intentional breaths. Steady gaze, steady breath. Notice the challenge of keeping your gaze steady. At any point, inhale here, exhale, side out. And then start to close your eyes. Another generous breath. Inhaling here, exhaling, sighing out. And then open your eyes. We'll shift into a twist here. Taking our left hand to grab our right knee. So you really want to grab that knee to intensify the twist as you twist towards the right. Take your chin towards that right shoulder. Lengthen your spine. Grab your knee firmly. And release. Opposite side, right hand on your knee, twist towards the left. Release, come back to center. Both palms on your knees. Drop your chin towards your chest. Hold. Noticing that stretch in the back of the neck, perhaps even your upper back. Lift your chin up towards the ceiling. Throat opens. Bring your head back to center. Take your chin towards your right shoulder. Hold. And opposite shoulder. Drop your chin towards your chest. Roll your head from one shoulder to the next, either full circle or just half a circle. Bring your head back to center. Ground yourself with a breath, inhaling here, exhaling. Shoulders resting on your knees. Lift your shoulders up towards your ears and then draw them back. So a few times up and back. Shoulders up towards your ears and forward. And after those few rounds, start to release. Lengthening here. Bringing your legs out, lifting your chest hard, palms up towards the ceiling. Lift your legs as high as you can. For extra support, you can take your hands behind your quads or your thighs. Lift your chest. Imagine a cord lifting your chest up towards the ceiling. Start to lengthen your legs. Hover your chin towards your chest. Hover. And then drop your head back. Gather an inhale here. Exhale, side out. Then start to bend both knees. Drop your knees towards the left. Bring your arms up to a T. Drop your head towards the right. It's important that your knees and your head face opposite directions. Soften neck down the spine to your hips. Imagine your knees falling further towards the floor. Gentle twist. It's hard to take deep, full breaths here, so just find a comfortable breath. See where can you soften just 10% further. Your body is supported by the ground. There are parts of your body you do not have to hold up. Soften and relax. That is actually a practice, and it's part of a holistic yoga class, is learning to slow down, soften, and relax. We live in a culture of a lot of doing, which is great. There's nothing wrong with doing, but we also want to balance out in places where we're softening, relaxing, and being. So as we seek that balance, we soften our bodies. We bring our knees back to center. Drop your knees towards the right, and then drop your head towards the left. Once again, being purposeful and scanning your body, neck, down the spine to hips, imagining your knees soften further. Finding a comfortable breath. Take a deep breath. Bring your knees back to center. We're going to come into our butterfly pose. Both soles of the feet touch. Hands can frame your hips, palms up towards the ceiling. You can rest your hands on your belly and chest. That's very helpful for regulating the breath. You can also lift your arms up overhead, elbows bent, backs of the hands on the floor. Here, chest open, there's more of an arch to the spine. So find which position works here for your arms. Do continue focusing around the hips, imagining both knees fall further towards the floor. This is a pose that opens us up a lot. Yet we also want to practice softening our bodies. You'll notice there's areas that you might be holding some tension, but you don't need to. So find those points and release. I recommend taking a few long, intentional breaths, the fullest breath that's available for you. Now, it's difficult to maintain deep, long breaths over a period of time. I'm not asking that necessarily. I'm asking just a few breaths so you refamiliarize yourself with that deep breath that you can go back to at any time throughout your week. This breath is here to support you, to center you, to return yourself back to your physical body, mental body, emotional body. At any point, inhale here, exhale, sigh it out. Your breath can go back to a regular rhythm. Notice that inner silence and spaciousness you've cultivated throughout the class. Return to that by noticing, being present with it. And then we'll allow to integrate that even further. We'll shift now into our Shavasana, probably the ultimate pose to explore that spaciousness and stillness. We're going to lengthen our legs, Palms face up towards the ceiling, backs of the hands on the mat. As a reminder, in yoga, we're not trying to shut down our thoughts purposely. We're just creating some more space between us and our thoughts, creating more and more opportunities to be totally immersed in our bodies, physically, mentally, emotionally. We cultivate this practice. Sometimes it's challenging, sometimes it's accessible, any spectrum, anything within that spectrum. So for this last resting pose, we take an opportunity to integrate our practice, letting go and receiving. We practice being, slowing down, welcoming spaciousness, stillness in our bodies. We notice the wisdom of doing nothing. Soften your forehead, jaw, neck, shoulders, down the length of your arms, your palms, and fingertips. Soften the upper back, mid back, lower back, the area around the tailbone. Release around the hips, behind the knees, down to your ankles and toes. Observe thoughts and sensations without judgment, just notice. We'll start to shift our attention back to our breath, inviting a generous inhale and exhale. You can restore some movement to your fingertips and your toes. You can invite a full body stretch or turn your body to the side. Do return to a generous and a leisurely breath. There is no hurry. After another inhale or two, start to shift slowly out of the pose you're in and come to find a comfortable seat, whatever that looks like for you. And take a moment to appreciate your efforts. Allowing for times where your practice feels more accessible and allowing for times where your practice feels more challenging. And with that note of appreciation and gratitude, let's take our hands in front of our heart center. And then intentional breath, let's inhale here, exhale. And in the tradition of yoga, the highest in me sees the highest in you. May we walk with each other in gratitude.